hurts. It hurts so much." In the late afternoon of autumn, sunlight streamed quietly through the carved windows onto the floor in front of the bed curtains. Embroidered on the curtains were a few delicate orchids, and a gentle breeze revealed glimpses of the person within. Her small, porcelain white face, no bigger than a palm, was exquisitely smooth and translucent. She had thick, dark hair, bright red lips, and eyes that, even when closed, could bewitch. Now, with her brows slightly furrowed, she looked incredibly pitiful. Suddenly, the curtains trembled violently, and a heart-wrenching cry shattered the silence. Two maids in blue robes who were doing needlework in the outer room heard the sound, and their expressions changed drastically. They dropped their needlework and rushed into the inner room. Lifting the bed curtains, they saw the person on the bed with a delicate, pale face streaked with tears, her fingers struggling incessantly. The maids exchanged a glance and felt a pang of heartache. They disregarded etiquette, one holding a handkerchief and the other gently patting the young lady trapped in a nightmare. "Miss, wake up, wake up!" Since returning to the Duke of Jingo's mansion, the young lady had been unwell, and for the past 2 days, she hadn't been sleeping soundly. To make matters worse, the master and mistress were still far away in Suzhou in Jiangnan East Circuit, and there was no one in charge of the third branch of the household. The two maids, Chunhua and Qiushi, were extremely anxious seeing their young lady's spirits gradually weaken. Sure enough, during a short nap, the young lady had fallen into a nightmare again. The fine sweat on her forehead almost soaked her handkerchief, and her wet hair clung to her cheeks, making her face appear even paler. Hearing a familiar voice, Xiaoyu finally escaped from the endless fear and pain. She opened her eyes and leaned listlessly against the bedpost, her body feeling as if she had just been pulled from the water, one hand clutching her chest, feeling the lingering pain. She dreamt again of the day she was pierced through the heart by an arrow. The arrow was so sharp, easily piercing her body and taking her life. Xiaoyu was afraid of pain. Every time she felt that piercing pain, she cried uncontrollably. She was also afraid of death. The thought of dying filled her with indescribable sorrow. Her little face contorted in pain. "Miss, please, drink some calming tea to ease your mind," the two maids said, looking at her with concern. Xiaoyu smiled weakly at them. "Miss, this is the 3rd time you've been haunted by nightmares. Perhaps I should speak to the madam and find a capable doctor," Chunhua said. Chunhua was her personal maid, a servant born into the Jingo Duke's household, and had more connections than Qiushi, who came from Jiangnan. Their young lady was the eldest daughter of the 3rd branch of the Jingo Duke's household. Because her master was serving as the governor of Suzhou in Jiangnan East Circuit, the young lady had stayed in Jiangnan for 10 years, only recently returning to the Jingo Duke's household for the madam's birthday. Unexpectedly, less than half a month after returning to the manor, the young lady began having nightmares at night. The next day, a doctor was called and medicine was prescribed, but Chunhua felt that the young lady's spirit had not yet recovered. After taking the medicine for 2 days, the nightmares continued, and seeing that the young lady had become thinner, Chunhua was extremely anxious. There's no need to trouble Aunt with such a small matter. Just bring me some clothes, I'll rest for a while." Xiaoyu stopped the maid's actions. The maid didn't know the reason, but she understood. She wasn't being haunted by nightmares. Rather, she was dreaming of the scene of her death in her previous life, with red everywhere and bloodstains all over the ground. It was a blessing from heaven that gave Xiaoyu a chance to be reborn, allowing her to come back to life. For the past 2 days, she had been in a daze, thinking that she was really dreaming, but the memory was so real that she couldn't convince herself that it was all just her imagination. She sat blankly on the bed, letting Chu Shi help her remove her sweat-soaked clothes. She had just returned to the Jingo Duke's mansion in Wangjing from Suzhou. Her father was working in Suzhou, her mother was with her sick younger brother, and her grandmother and aunt were still somewhat distant. She knew she had gained 2 months of memories, but she couldn't tell anyone here. Yes, only 2 short months. She had only stayed at the Jingo Duke's mansion for 3 months before dying, and today Chunhua told her she had been there for half a month, meaning she would die in 2 more months. Xiaoyu sniffled, and large tears welled up again. She didn't want to die, she wanted to live a long, long life. Chu Shi was changing her mistress's soft clothes. Before her hand even touched her mistress's alabaster skin, she saw a tear slide into her pink undergarment. her face flushed with worry, and she secretly spat at herself. Her mistress was just 16 years old this year, a full 10 years older than the young master. Before the young master was born, her mistress was the apple of the master and mistress's eye, pampered and spoiled in every way. Although the mistress had become less attentive to her daughter after the birth of the young master, and no longer cared for her as much as before, focusing all her attention on the infant son, she was still the legitimate daughter of the governor's family and had never been neglected. Over the years, she not only developed a beautiful face, but also fair and delicate skin.